Hello everybody, today is Tuesday, February 23rd, and I'm Ashley Fields with Your Dress. Today we are going to be painting our hop blank. This blank is available online as well as we also have templates. So, hope everybody is doing well today, y'all. I should have cleaned up over here a little bit better. I did this pattern. Hey Deborah, how are you, babe? I did this pattern in, I think, 4 different sample color schemes. So I did a grayscale, I did, I think a sky blue, and what did I do with sky blue? Coral? And then I think I did purple and mint green and yellow and pink. So today I'm gonna show you guys the grayscale version. Just for starters, I started out with a coat of white. And then my P, I did your regular gray, number 24. Hey, Debbie. And then on my H, I don't know if you could see some of this streaking. Let me get it up close. Maybe you could see it a little bit better. You see how I have that streaking on the H? I really was trying to get it to be a little bit darker than the P. So what I did is I painted my P first. Then I came to my H and I took my gray and I squirted it right on top, right? Then I took my black and I dripped some drops all in there. And I basically just came in and did vertical lines. I wanted kind of that peek through of the brush strokes in the back. So I didn't fully mix the black in with the gray. I almost just kind of left it there and did some streaking with it. And that's how I got, this kind of like your darker tones coming in here. It's just regular gray, and I literally kind of took my black paint and just dripped some out. And then obviously in the middle, it's just 2 coats of white, and I got a little bit of light pink on my ears and some medium blue on my eyes. All right, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I went ahead and taped off our letter H. Just for those of you that are wondering where I began, I started right here with this middle stripe, and I basically placed it down trying to be in between the top and the bottom part of your blank right here. And then from there, I just did my stripes all the way down, and then of course all the way back up. So I am going to be using a baby wipe today for our plaid. The reason I'm using a baby wipe is because I want it to be a little bit like see-through, like you can kind of see through that paint just a little bit. So we're just gonna get started. How's everybody doing today, y'all? It is like warm outside. I don't know why, but I woke up at 4:30 today, and I do know why. We heard something fall off the counter. Something happened, and I woke my husband up. I was like, "What was that?" It was one of our cats. But then I never could go back to sleep. So I go and I take my bath and everything. I go to look at the weather. It was 39 degrees outside at that moment, but it was going to be 79 for a high. I was just like, really, Texas? Really? All right, y'all, I'm just starting with a little bit of white paint. I'm gonna come back and kind of bring my excess over onto my other stripes. I'm going with the same length as my tape. So right now my tape is horizontal, therefore my stripes are horizontal. Notice I keep going back to where I originally placed that paint down, and I'm trying to just pull a little bit more off. I want it to be very, very light. So you really don't need a whole lot of paint. I did not put very much down. And again, I keep being able to go back up here to the top and pull more paint off of that. I have not even added any more onto here yet. And then just a little bit up here. And then as simple as that, I'm gonna take this off. Really, you could try to reuse your tape. I don't personally mess with it. I just chunk it and use some more to do my next layer. Here's the look with just some stripes. All right, there you go so far. Hey Mom, how are you? All right, we're gonna give this a few to just dry. It's really doesn't need much time. I'm gonna just hop over here and work on the P for a minute and get some polka dots going on the P. Obviously, if you're tired of like polka dot and plaid, you could do stripes, you could do chevron, you could do swirls. You know, you could really do a lot of different things. I think sky is kind of the limit on here. Me personally, I just like to use a few different techniques. That way it almost gives my piece some texture. Oh, let me see what size I want to use. Y'all, I don't know how. Sorry. I called my insurance company earlier and I guess they're just now calling me back. I don't have the little plastic casing for this, but I'm gonna say this is my largest polka dot that I have. I don't know if that's maybe 1.5 inches, something like that. So again, I'm just gonna use white over here. If you are wanting to do a colored one, I do have several samples of a colored version. I have photos of them online at Yard to Us, and they're also in our Painters Club too. Definitely gonna need some more paint. I always notice the sponge daubers, I don't feel like I'm gonna use a lot of paint, but I end up kind of using a little more. Deborah, I'm so glad you're here, babe. Hope you're doing well. Let's see, Mary, not good. Deal with insurance issues. Boo-hoos. No, it's honestly, it's my tax stuff. When you own a business and you get to do all your fun taxes, yeah. I'm needing to get some of the numbers off of my 2020 statements, but they don't run through 2020. It's like part of my first statement was from 2019, you know, that sort of thing. So I was trying to see if there's like an easy way that I can access that information online. Of course, I couldn't find it online. Yeah, all the fun stuff, but I've got almost everything done. I literally have to answer 2 more questions and then I can send everything back to my CPA, which is exciting. But I did tell my husband tonight when he gets home, we've got to look up a couple of different things and then we could finally be done with business taxes. And then we have to do personal taxes. Hey Candace, how are you doing, babe? Hey Connie, I didn't even get a chance to say hello to you. Y'all, just doing a little polka dots here. I kind of almost do like a triangle effect, trying to kind of keep them in a triangular motion. And to me, that just kind of keeps it really balanced. I'm somebody who likes symmetry. I don't know, it's just me personally. And I'm not trying to be perfect with this, but I do feel like if I have them a little bit as spaced out as the next one, to me, it just looks a little bit more uniform. I just like it better. Thank you, Connie. Connie says, love the polka dots. Y'all, whenever I was painting the colored versions of these, I know I was talking to you guys on a different live that I was doing. Some of them I had to repaint like multiple times because I just wasn't caring for the color combinations that I was using. And it kind of was one of those things I just had to keep on moving with it. And every time I'd get it done, I'm like, oh, I don't quite like that, you know, and I just go back and paint over it. It's the good thing about paint. But the color combinations that I did come up with, I thought they looked really good. I really liked them. All right, Joe, we're almost there. As soon as we get done with this, we're gonna flip back over and work on our H. Now, also notice I have some of these kind of hanging off the edge. I did that on purpose. I want some of them to hang off the edge. You know, you don't want it to look too uniform. Let me put that in the water. We're gonna rotate it back and we're gonna start with our vertical tape for our H. This is gonna be just like the same thing as the horizontal lines. I really am just starting in the middle of my H right here, and I'm kind of just using this as my guide. Your H is not perfectly, you know, up and down. It's kind of bent over to the side a little bit. So I just kind of kept my lines horizontal and vertical just so I could keep it straight. Got a trash piece, right? I got my first piece down. That one's gonna stay. I'm using my trash piece as kind of just really a space. I wanna make sure that every line is that same width apart. So then I come with my next piece. I butt up to the line, push that tape all the way down, and just continue. Pull up that trash piece. Again, that's your space, that's your guide. I'm gonna bring it down here. I know I'm gonna need just a little bit of tape. And y'all, these little corners, you might look at it and go, oh, I don't have to tape that off. But honestly, it'll make a big difference if you do tape it off as needed. Okay, switch over here. Same thing. Scoot that up a little bit. Just a little bit more, not much. Same thing up here. The reason I'm not doing a whole long piece of tape is I really don't need to waste it right there. Hey Mary Beth, how are you, babe? Deborah, this tape is 1.5 inches. It's actually 1.41 inches, but if you just type in 1.5 inch, it'll come up. And this is Scotch brand. Honestly, I feel like I like the Amazon brand better than the Scotch brand, personally. And I know Frog Tape is another good brand, but man, that one can get really pricey. So me, I try to stick with ones that are a little bit more affordable, and I honestly think Amazon's better than Scotch. Just personal opinion here. I think I'm gonna go ahead, just trying to look at this, y'all. I just wanna make sure I've kind of got that same angle going. So I put this trash piece down almost to just be a little bit parallel to kind of give me that start on this tip of my H. I obviously want it to look uniform. So I don't want it sticking out like a sore thumb because I didn't have that right angle on my tape. Press that tape down. Trash piece can go in the trash now. We're done with that. I'm gonna come back over top and just use my fingers and just press down this tape a little bit. Make sure it's all down so I don't get that bleeding underneath. The bleeding happens, and I have some bleeding sitting up here on our first layer. You know, it happens. It does drive me a little crazy. I try, you know, not to have that. I never did turn on my comments down here, y'all. So sorry. Hey, Kimberly, how are you? Hey, Brian. Glad to see you guys. Of course, it doesn't even have me up. Well, that is frustrating. There we go. 12 minutes in, and I'm just now taking care of that. Let's see. Okay, I think I got all the questions. Deborah, got you answered. All right, y'all. Same thing. Little bit of paint. I'm not going to put much on here. If it would actually come out, just a little bit. Now remember, a lot of this paint I'm going to spread across, and I'm going to end up pulling right back off. So I'm going to kind of dip my baby wipe in and just pull it the length of the tape. So now my tape is vertical, so I'm doing vertical lines. I'm basically just putting that paint down and almost bringing most of it all the way right back off. I want to be able to see those horizontal lines underneath this white paint. So if I cannot see the horizontal lines, I have too much paint. And what I really do in that instance is just keep swiping with my baby wipe and just pull more and more off. So the good thing is with this white, it really has a good coverage even when it's thin when you do it with the baby wipe. Well, I'm just gonna keep pulling a little bit more off because I'm just seeing it's a little much. Come up here, make sure you don't forget the little tip of your H. Okay. Now let me just, okay. Now I could start taking this tape off. Let me get you an up close look at that H. I did a kind of like a streaky gray as my base. I just put a little bit of gray paint on there, literally took my black and just dripped a couple dots on top of that gray and drug it across so you can see some darker gray kind of poking through in here. And then I just did the white plaid with white paint and baby wipes. Hey Crystal, how are you? Hey Carolyn. So there's your look so far. We're gonna work on our bunny a little bit. Let me move this out of the way. All right, bunny has 2 coats of white, and then we have a little bit of medium blue on the eyes, and we have light pink on the inside of the ear. I'm going to use a mixture of light pink and shading pink. I kind of already have this. I'm gonna just fill it back up because it's almost empty. So I'm gonna just basically take a lot of my light pink. I'm gonna say maybe 2/3 light pink or 3/4 light pink to 1/3 shading or 1/4 shading pink. That's about the consistency or the color that I'm kind of going for. Shake this up. So got that light, add in some of that shading. And let's shake it and see if we like it. If it's too light, if it's too dark, all we gotta do is add a little bit more paint to it. But when it comes to pink, our color palette, we only have 2 colors. We have the light pink and the shading pink. I really am trying to get a color in between these 2. So shake this up a little bit more. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, I think that's good. Got a little dry paint on here. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at right now. It's a little color just basically in the middle. I am going to get a shader. Let me see if I'll try this one. Y'all, this one's probably a number 12. It's so old, there's no writing left on my handle. But we're gonna just do a little bit of perimeter here around our bunny. This paint does not have any water added to it. I might honestly need to pour some out and add a little water. We'll see. Yeah, it's already kind of giving me almost like a frayed line kind of look, and I just don't care for that. So let me just put a little bit in my cup and add a little bit of water to it. I really like my paintbrush to really glide smoothly across the top, and so if I feel like I'm struggling with that with the paint, I always just add a little bit of water. The full intention is just to get my paintbrush to glide smoother. So added a little bit of water, and again, redip. I'm just gonna go right back over top that line. Yeah, I think I like that a lot better. You know, when I did this pattern and I did my sample for this pattern, I think I outlined the bunny with black originally, and I didn't like it. So I ended up coming back and outlining the bunny with shading pink, but then I still had a little bit of black kind of poking through here on the sides. So at that time, I went around and took white and did almost another outline line around that shading pink, and it looked really good. So we're gonna do that today. It was kind of like one of those things that you fumble upon because you're really just trying to fix a boo-boo, but you really like the end result of it. So I ended up actually doing that kind of same technique on all the other ones that I ended up painting to sell. Now on the inside of my ear, I'm just gonna take a little bit, kind of just pull it on down. Clean that up. Anytime I ever come outside that line and I really don't mean to, I just take my finger and kind of do a quick little cleanup of it while it's still wet. It's no big deal. All right, got a little bit in there. I'm gonna just take the excess of what I already have inside my brush. I'm not picking up any more paint, and I'm kind of almost just very gently laying it down and just pulling it. All right. There's a look so far. Again, this color is a part light pink and shading pink. It's just a mixture of the two. Let me put a cap on here. Okay, I'm trying to think. I think I need to I need to blow dry it. Because my letters, I'm gonna do a little bit of outlining, like very light wispy, and obviously we'll do some highlights. But I really need to get my shading paint down on my bunny before I keep going. As well as I need to kind of work on this face in the middle. Because as we all know, it's really hard to work in the middle of a piece when all the rest of it's wet. That's when you make a lot of drag marks and boo-boos. Go ahead and let's work on the middle of our bunny face right quick, and then we'll do around the bunny, and then we'll finish the H and the P. Just don't want to be dragging my arm through wet paint. So I'm gonna get my script liner. This is a royal gold number 4, and I'm gonna get my black. This black does already have a little bit of water added into it. Anytime I'm using my cups, we always got a little bit of water. Now, y'all, this brush is a newer brush. And newer brushes, personally, I struggle to do more circular things like eyeballs. So I'm gonna try out my eyeballs here in a second. But I might have to switch back to my old trusty, rusty, fanned out old brush. Because I don't know, there's certain brushes that I just feel more comfortable with certain brush strokes, if that makes any sense to some of you. Let's see. Newer brushes just don't have quite the bend that older brushes can. I think that's okay. Now, I'm gonna do some eyelashes. I'm not gonna put any more paint than what I already have in my brush. I'm just leaving this paint that I have in here. I'm gonna just kind of rest my brush here at the top, and I'm almost just gonna pull like a rounded check mark or a very open sideways C. So I kind of set it down and pull it up. Set it down, pull it up. Set it down, pull it up, and so on. And that is the eyelash look. Dip my brush back in, and now I'm gonna make the pupil, and this usually is something I get both of them down, and then I'll have to come and fix one to make it a little bit taller or a little bit wider to match the other one. So that one looks good to me. We'll go ahead and do this one. Whoopsie. Might have to touch that up a little bit. All right, same thing on this one. I'm just really gonna dip a little bit on the tip. Kind of lay it down and pull it up. Lay down, pull it up. Very light, very gentle. If you are having trouble with eyelashes, I highly suggest you flip over a piece that you haven't painted the back on and just practice. I think for me, eyelashes were one of the harder things to get that stroke down, that it didn't look like really rigid. Looks good. All right. Same thing. I'm gonna come down here. Y'all, I also did try out the face with a shading pink mouth and nose, and me personally, I just didn't care for it. A lot of times, especially when I'm painting a new pattern, I'll paint it in different ways, just trying to see what I like. And a lot of times I end up repainting it. And so I personally liked the black a little bit better than I did having this portion being like shading pink and just the black on the eyes. I just didn't care for that. So I chose the nose and the mouth in black as well. All right, now we're gonna switch to shading pink so we can do the outline of the bunny. And we will come back to do the black on our other letters. Let's do shading pink. This is another reason why I did a mixture on the shade here of light pink and shading pink, because I really wanted my outline to have a good contrast on it and be, you know, like a different color. So kind of taking that color family and having 3 different tones. You got the light pink on the inside of the ears, you got like a medium pink that we use to shade, and then we're gonna use our shading pink, which, you know, obviously we usually use to shade, but we're gonna use this one for outline. This is also the time when I can now come in here and really clean up these lines in between my bunny and my letters. Let me pull this up before I drag it in wet paint. So really, I kind of make this line almost a little bit wider than I normally would, but I'm really kind of just doing that to close this gap and bridge little imperfections that are there. I did base coat this piece with a paint brush, so it isn't as it doesn't have as much paint all the way across it like it would if I used a roller. You know, I have a lot of blank kind of MDO spots in between this, so kind of shooting for a little bit of a thicker line than normal. Also, I'm going to take this paintbrush while I'm just down here before I kind of flip it and just kind of really lightly, gently come back over top some of those swoosh marks. Just bring a little bit of shading pink into that. I just love this pattern. I think it's so cute. So cute. It starts coming together. Ooh. Yo, my husband and I, we bought a new truck like almost, I don't know, 2.5 weeks ago, I'd say. And we were told that that truck was here, which we ordered it from the factory. We were told that truck was here a few weeks ago, and then come to find out it wasn't here, that it was going to be coming off the rail, you know, the following week. Well, that was 2.5 weeks ago, and it's basically just been this huge ordeal about getting our truck, because we had some things added onto it, and we were told it was in the process of it. And then I finally called the dealership yesterday, and I said, hey, I need a definitive answer on when, you know, when we could pick up our truck. We've already done all the paperwork for it. In fact, our first note is due in like 2 weeks. You know, what's up? And then she finally calls me back and she's like, oh, well, we're still waiting on the parts to be released from the manufacturer before we can do some of the add-ons. And I was like, really? So they've had this truck for 2.5 weeks that really we could have picked up 2.5 weeks ago. And yeah, nobody let us know. So it's been crazy, but everybody cross your fingers that when my husband goes to pick it up today, that it's not any other major issues, because y'all, I don't know if anybody's had issues with dealing with dealerships before, but it's just been kind of a very trying and testing experience for us. I'm gonna try to get this pink dried up a little bit, just right here on these edges. I want to come in with a little bit of white. That was kind of what I was talking to y'all about earlier. I kind of did that by mistake on my sample that I was working on when I first started to paint these, and I just really like the way it turned out. So I want to be able to take my script liner and just bring in a little bit of white, almost like a double outline, just around my bunny. Doesn't gotta be super dry, just kind of dry enough to not mix colors. All right, now I'm gonna give that just a few minutes before I do that white line. We're gonna do a little bit of black on our H and our P. Again, I'm still using Royal Gold Script Liner number 4. Same black paint I just used a little bit ago. I'm basically loading and then I take it and I offload it. You do not want much paint on here. And I'm very lightly placing that brush down and just kind of pulling it. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm not trying to sit and do like a real profile line here. I want it to be around the profile, but I want it to be just really light and wispy. Nothing too perfect. Here's a look so far at your P. Okay, I'm gonna pretty much just do the same exact thing over here on my H. Again, dip it, kind of offload it, and very gently. You're not using pressure. Just let your brush kind of glide. There is a look at the light wispy lines on the outside of the H. Hey Christy, how are you? Mary says she really likes the gray and white. Me too. I love the grayscale, personally. I know it's not near as colorful, but I just really like it. All right, now the only thing I got left to do is just some highlights. That's it. A little bit of white. Wash out that script liner. I'm still sticking with the same exact brush. Here is some white with a ton of water mixed in. I really like that white almost dripping. Just gonna get it mixed and kind of separated. All right. Now, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm kind of just gonna butt up to this pink, your shading pink outline. And I'm just giving it a little bit more of a defined look. I just got some pink in my brush. I'm gonna try to clean it out a little bit. That pink is still really, really wet. I really want to get down in these grooves, but those grooves are still wet and I'm kind of pulling up some of that pink. All right, now, while I'm over here, I'm gonna go ahead and add these highlights on to my letter. I almost did these a little bit thicker, and notice on the black, I kind of chopped them off at every direction. But whenever I did the white, I kind of let myself have almost some bends in the white. So I almost try to do a corner with a bend. And I just liked the way that that looked. Let's see, get a little bit here. Doesn't really have to be perfect, y'all. You could honestly, you could do this a million different ways. I just liked the personality. I felt like it really starts to give your piece. I kind of just repeat that same thing over here. And let's also, while we're here, let's add our white dots onto our eyes. This is still really wet paint. That'll work. A little bit here on the nose. And then really just repeat that same exact thing I just did on the other side. Just pulled up a bunch of black on there. That's okay. Wipe it off and keep going. All right, now here, same thing. In fact, I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I did not do white on my Greyscale one. But here we go. We just added a little bit on there. I don't think it needs a whole lot. And that is done. There is your Greyscale hop design. If you guys are not interested in the Greyscale, if you go look at the listing on our website at yard-to-rust.com, there's 4 different color options that I did. Greyscale was one of them. You've got purple and mint green. You got sky blue and coral, and then pink and yellow. So it's really the same exact thing, but you could always change your colors and do a different kind of variation if the Greyscale isn't bright enough for you, or if you didn't care for the final look of it. But there you go, y'all. Let's do a recap on paint right quick. I started with 1 coat of white. I then came over top with gray, number 24, and I did the gray on my P first. I then took that same paintbrush and that same gray and came to my H. But when I squirted the paint out on my H, I took a little bit of black and I dripped some dots of black into the wet paint. And I just made sure and did vertical swipes. And that's how you can kind of see that dark gray coming through that letter H. It's a very simple, subtle kind of a look, but up close, I think it just really brings it a little bit more dimension. And it also darkens it just a little bit from the color on the P. I then came on my white and did a 2nd coat of white on my bunny, because y'all know when you do white, you gotta have 2 really good coats. And then on the bunny, on the inside of the ear, we have light pink. The color next to that and the color that's shading inside the bunny is a mixture of light pink and shading pink. And then we outlined the bunny with shading pink. Our eyeballs, I used medium blue number 4. And that pretty much wraps it up, y'all. 1.5 inch Scotch brand tape, 1.5, that might even be 1 3/4 inch polka dots, and ta-da, voila, there you go. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I believe this is our last live for February, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure. But we will have a new March calendar coming out soon. I know we're gonna have our Peace Gnomes next month, and I'm not really sure what else, but we'll let you guys know. We'll get it posted soon. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. Again, check out the sample photos. They're on yard-to-rust.com. They're also on our Facebook painters page. And other than that, we will see you guys in March. Thank y'all so much. Y'all enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see y'all later. Bye, everybody.